Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the second learning block of Lesson 3. We're going to talk here about using data in Head Start. We're going to talk about compliance and reviews and program improvement and how all of these things come together. We talked about the history of Head Start and saw how it was important for programs to be able to demonstrate that they were using the funding that they received in the right way. You wanted to show that that was there. Well, the 2016 performance standards move in the direction of a quality improvement framework and away from a compliance framework. But that old-fashioned idea that you should show that you're still spending the money right, that's still there. So one of the things that I'm going to do now is talk about what the national framework around compliance and reviews looks like and how data and program improvement are integrated into that. It's important to note here that Head Start programs are all different, review teams are all different. So the exact experience of a review is going to vary from place to place, but the national framework provides some overall guidelines of what this looks like. It's also important to remember that this is relatively new to reviewers. And so there's an evolving process that's going to be going on over the years that you will be informing as you undergo reviews, because you'll be part of people seeing what is and is not being provided by various agencies. So when we think about compliance, there's still compliance in there. Compliance is still compliance. The federal government needs you to show that you're meeting funding requirements. The PIR is still the PIR. You're still submitting that. All these different pieces are still out there. That idea here, though, shifts. There's a new twist here because you're still showing that you're meeting funding requirements, but you also have to show how it is that you know those numbers are correct. You have to demonstrate a commitment to data quality as well as just giving the numbers. And you've got to show that the numbers are connecting to what we're really looking for here: improvement in the lives of children and families. This is a big deal. So it's not enough just to say every child in our program received a hearing screening. You have to be able to show that you know that those were quality hearing screenings that accomplished the mission that they exist for, which is to identify students who may need additional services and then connect them with those services. If 80% of your hearing screenings happened on the last 2 days of the deadline period, you're going to need to have an explanation for why that is. And it might be that you don't have a lot of facilities where you are. A mobile hearing screening unit comes in and the kids go through that process. If you're a small program, that might be perfectly reasonable. If you're a larger program and there's 2,000 kids, it's going to be a really big mobile unit that's going to put 2,000 kids through it. So these are the kind of things that we're going to see now are more questions about, well, how do you know that what you're doing provides data quality? So in a Focus Area 1 review, programs must explain the types of data collected to measure outcomes for each program area. How do you collect that data? What does it look like? So one of the things about this is, what data do you collect to measure program outcomes? Some of this is easy. I know that this child received a hearing screening because I have this space where I can check off. This child received the screening on this date from this doctor, and this was the outcome. But what is your data analysis plan to demonstrate program outcomes? What is the plan for using the data on screenings and the results of those screenings to ensure that every child has follow-up? So in a Focus Area 1 review, you might have something basic, which is we record the information here to show that they received this hearing screening. But then what's the plan to do something about that, to take the next steps? Do you have a plan that checks not at the deadline day, but well ahead of the deadline day to make sure that people are being connected, not just to services generally, but to quality services and getting appropriate follow-up? Focus Area 2 is different. Focus Area 2, programs must share these data that they've collected and discuss how the information is used for quality improvement. So you've given this plan about how you're going to collect data and how you're going to analyze it and how you're going to make sure that all these things are being done the right way. Okay, well, it's been a couple years. Focus Area 2 comes in. Let's see it. Let's see what you did. Did your data analysis plan work? Did it all turn out the way that you wanted it to? Focus Area 2 is huge. The whole idea of a data tour, which is part of the Focus Area 2 review, is about demonstrating that you followed your plan from FA1. But remember, it's a quality improvement cycle that that cycle we have, PDSA, Plan, Do, Study, Act. If your original plan didn't work very well in reality and you had to change it, say a giant pandemic comes along, or there's a flood that closes one of your centers. Lots of these different kinds of things can happen. How did you adapt? How did you make the changes that you needed to change in order to continue to do the key, the focus, which is to improve the quality of the program and benefit the lives of children and families? So the data tour is about the plan, but it's not about a rigid sticking to the plan no matter what, whether it worked or it didn't. It's about flexibility and the ability to adapt if you need to. But if the plan worked and everything went forward, great. And what did you learn from it that helped you to improve your program? This is important about the FA2 review. You're going to have to show this across the organization. You can't just have one example. You're going to have it in multiple areas. And you don't know. The reviewers might only ask for it in one. They might also randomly grab someone and ask them how they use data for quality improvement. All these kinds of things are possibly there. So preparing for a review is very different than it used to be. How a program uses data is now a required part of review prep for the focus area 2 in particular, but even for the focus area 1, you have to think about the data and the plan related to it. And it's got to be at all levels of the organization. It can't just be the executive director. It can't just be a content lead. It's got to be everybody, every level of the organization. One of the challenges then is we're not just talking about collecting data and showing that it's complied. You want to tell stories about program improvement. The performance standards require that you must demonstrate the practice of CQI. That means everybody could theoretically be asked about this by reviewers. A teacher, a family advocate, a health worker, a content lead, the executive director, anyone could be asked about this. The key here is staff have to be prepared to describe CQI efforts from their perspective. Nobody expects the person who's working in the classroom to know everything about everything in the organization. They do expect them to know about their classroom and how they do it. So we talk about how data literacy is something that's based on the role that you have and what you need to do in your role, what you need to know to use data effectively. The same thing is true here. Can you communicate how it matters? For you, it's from your perspective. And that's going to vary widely throughout an organization. So compliance is still there. There's still a structure around it, but there's flexibility, which has some positives. It lets you do a lot more interesting things, but also it means that people who didn't necessarily have to worry about being able to tell stories around data in the past, they are very likely going to be getting asked about these things in reviews today. So it's a different world. It's challenging, but also if you're practicing data transparency within your organization, you're building literacy, you're building capacity, it's an opportunity for an organization to showcase a lot of the great things that you're doing.